5 years. I first came to this school in 5th grade, and that's when I first picked up a trumpet.
Mr. Vaughn has been my teacher since as long as I can remember, which I think it was about 5th grade. 5th grade was when I started in band.
Mr. Vaughn's been my teacher for almost 3 years, almost 4 years now.
I've known Mr. Vaughn for about 5 years, ever since 5th grade. He's been my teacher ever since.
Mr. Vaughn has been my teacher since I was in 5th grade, so we were little.
Mr. Vaughn has been my teacher for 6 years.
Mr. Vaughn has been my teacher for 5 years.
I've known Mr. Vaughn for about 2 years now.
Since the first day of 8th grade.
He's been my teacher since 7th grade.
I've had Mr. Vaughn as a teacher for 5 years now.
So I started working with Mr. Vaughn, 5 years ago when I started at IACS.
This is my 2nd year. I started having him when I was a freshman.
I've worked with Mr. Vaughn since about January of this year.
I'm one of the new meat babies. I've been 4 years.
I've worked with Mr. Vaughn almost 2 years now.
Vaughn has been my teacher since 7th grade, so that would be 5, almost 6 years now. Oh God, we're old.
I guess this is year 2.
He's been my teacher for 4 years.
All right, he's been my teacher since 5th grade, so I think that's 5 years, yeah.
Mr. Vaughn has been my teacher since I was in 8th grade.
Definitely my first impression was probably he was super nice, just knew what he was doing, he ran his class very well, and just kind of it just settled in really easy.
He's just a funny guy.
I was kind of scared of getting a new band teacher, so at first I thought he wouldn't be as good as my last one, but he definitely proved me wrong.
My first impression, my first look at him was short and stash.
I gotta say my first impression was Mr. Vaughn. I was terrified to actually meet him because I had seen him before. So I was like, oh my gosh, he's got a mustache, he's pretty scary. But when I met him, I was so amazed by what he could do on his trumpet, even though he was just playing a little scale. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to be that good. Can he make me that good? And so I was really amazed by him.
I immediately thought that he was a guy who teleported right out of the 60s.
He's so small.
He was weird. I was just really excited to bang on everything and just have fun and go crazy.
First impression is, my first memory of him was first time I came down the hallway and was going into my classroom for the first time, and Mr. Vaughn was in his room, and I met him, and he was the first fellow faculty member that I got to meet and talk to.
I thought he was gonna be scary and just really mean, but he wasn't. He was really kind. Fun.
One thing I'll remember is about Mr. Vaughn was at the IACS assembly. He was really killing it at the trumpet. I've never seen trumpet skills like that ever before, so I just want to give him a shout out, say good job, keep it up.
The Seattle trip.
Yeah, the Seattle trip.
Last year overall.
That was a lot
really
of
cool.
fun.
It'd have to be last year when I was a freshman, and we went up to Seattle. And we were just walking around the streets in Seattle, and him just naming off random facts about everything. It was great.
We were about to start the Seattle actual performance in Heritage, and I remember one of the trumpet players, they had a solo for one of the songs, and right before we were on stage, and he said, Mr. Vaughn, I don't think I can do this. I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for the solo. And Mr. Vaughn, even though he's known for some huge eloquent speeches, he simply just told him, looked him in the eye and said, you can do this. And he played, and it was pretty awesome.
Seattle, I admire the trait to disappear into a crowd, and that is one Mr. Vaughn maintains with ease. I turn around, and he's just gone.
When it was in 5th grade, and his TA had me help him, and I didn't fully understand what she meant when trumpets and clarinets were kind of the same, so she gave me a clarinet book to play with, because I didn't have a trumpet book. And Mr. Vaughn was so confused, so he came over and asked me what I was playing, and I told him I was playing a clarinet book, and I told him they were the same thing, and he kind of was disappointed, so.
You were more than just a music teacher to us, and you are a really great person, and I hope you're happy with the next chapter of your life. Thank you.
Mr. Vaughn, have some fun. Take care. Watch your six.
Thanks, Mr. Vaughn. You've been the best teacher I've ever had. We're gonna miss you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Vaughn, and I hope your wife has plenty of activities for you to do.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Vaughn. Have fun.
Okay. Mr. Vaughn, you're amazing. You're inspiring. You are so talented, and you will be missed so much at IACS. I wish you the very best.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn, for being a wonderful teacher, and I hope you have a wonderful time with your wife. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. You've been a lot of help to our family, both musically and just helping us all out, and we're all gonna miss you.
Never say goodbye.
Oh, Vaughnie boy, you got big shoes to fill. It's going to be a different atmosphere around here. I wish you the best. I'm going to miss you so much. Thanks for also not quitting before my senior year. Sucks for the rest of you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. You've inspired me so much to do great with music and with just everything I do. Gonna miss you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Mr. Vaughn, we're all gonna miss you a lot. You are the type of person that's not gonna be easy to replace. And we congratulate you on your new chapter of your life, and we hope you have a lot of really fun adventures and great experiences coming up. We'll miss you.
I want to thank Mr. Vaughn for accepting me into the jazz band, even though he had a pretty strong saxophone section, and I wish I kept him up until the end of my senior year, so.
Goodbye, Mr. Vaughn. You've been a really good band teacher. I'm gonna miss you next year.
I'd just like to thank you teaching me how to play this metal pipe, making sound, and being such an awesome person.